There's so much tools in the digital world that enable you to just start a business and get to that 6-7 figure all by yourself with maybe just a few freelancers. Software is what's going to get you there. Hi, I'm Natalia Nicholson, founder of Women in Digital Business, where we empower underrepresented women to thrive in the digital world. Welcome to Tuesday's Lunch and Learn. My name is Natalia Nicholson and I come to you every single Tuesday to bring you nuggets of information on how you can successfully sell online. We are now in the digital age. It's gone are the times where you can just put a website up, have a logo, have a brand, and you're going to get customers. Now people want to see us on social media. They want to see us having websites that they can trust. They want to make sure that, they can sign up to things. You've got a mailing list. You're in communication with people. There's a lot that goes into being visible online and people trusting you, so as they get to know you, they then buy from you. So every single week we come to you with bite-sized information to really get you thinking, probe you, give you nuggets to make sure that your digital journey continues and you become more successful. We're living in the world where the internet has given us access to global communities. If there was any one time actually you can grow a business independently that's going to flourish and have millions of customers, it's now. But you've got to do it strategically. So today what we are looking at is actually, if somebody doesn't like you, someone is not for you, guess what? They're not your customer. Okay, we want to attract people that like us, they see us as an authority. They're our audience, they're our tribe. You are the go-to for them, because when you have a community like that, it means that you've got lifelong customers that are gonna get to know, like, and trust you and buy from you. So we're gonna really look at today understanding who is for you and really looking at that. And from that, you might decide to maybe change your offering, make sure that your messaging is correct and it really relates to those people. Look at your content, being able to connect and getting your audience that really understands you and has a problem that you solve. Having clear messaging is absolutely detrimental for the success of your business and growing it. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Let's look at some content marketing and how you can attract your target audience and ultimately sell more, because that's what we're here to do. Okay, so what are we going to get out of today? Today, we're going to just look at what are your goals? So as I'm going through, make sure you go and grab a piece of pen and paper, by the way, get your phone out, get a note-taking system. This is going to be on a replay, so will be available on YouTube if you want to go back to it after this live session. Okay, if you are watching this on a replay, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, please make sure that there's anybody that you know that would appreciate this content, you share. Okay, and any questions that you've got, put it in the comments. Any other lunch and learns and specific topics you want to know about, make sure you put it in the comment section and we will do our best to cover it. So we want to look at what are your goals. We want to look at who is your target audience. We want to look at what type of content should you actually be making for the audience that does take to you, not for the audience that doesn't. Okay, what are the best channels? How to never ever run out of content. Content is the one thing that's going to keep you nurturing your prospect, nurturing your customer, upselling them getting to know you. Content is what brings the human into the internet, because you are having to get to know people now through a smartphone, through a tablet, through a laptop. So content is what humanizes it. And to humanize content, you have to understand who is your content for, which is why we don't want to waste time trying to convince an audience that might not be for you. We want to make sure you're attracting the people that need you, want you, like you, and you solve a big problem for them. And we're going to look at some resources, and we're also going to look at distribution and promotion of content and just how to measure results. In everything that you do in this digital age, you need to be tracking it and measuring it. The intelligence is out there. And one of the things that we do really well at Women in Digital Business is we take the tech overwhelm out of digital business. You are going to have to start using software. You are going to have to start using automation. But just like how, some of you might not have been that proficient in, spreadsheets or Google Sheets. Now, you use it just fine. Think about how you navigate in terms of going to Google Play. You download an app, you put your information in. We are a lot more tech savvy than we give ourselves credit for. So once we kind of understand what software we need to use and we understand what to do in it, it starts to become really easy. And that's what we do here at Women in Digital Business. We really help you put together a digital strategy for your business, but understand how do you put that in software to automate it. So rather than having to have 5 members of staff, you can automate your whole business and get to the targets that you need to get to without spending loads of money. So we really help to take that tech overwhelm out of it. So first things first, I want you to think about what are your goals. For the next 12 months, next 6 months, we've only got 6 months left of this year. Like, what are your goals? What is it that you want to achieve? Okay, and be realistic about that. Is it that you're kind of starting out and no one doesn't know who you are, so you want to bring awareness? Maybe you've been doing loads around awareness, but you haven't got an email list, or you don't have, loads of cell or mobile phone numbers, so you've got some type of list, you've got some type of leads that you can contact. Maybe you've got awareness and you've got leads, but the problem is you're inviting people into your mailing list, into your community, whatever it is that you offer to keep in contact with your prospects, but you're not actually selling enough. So maybe your goal is more conversion. Okay, maybe you need to get to conversion because you've got a certain amount of bills to pay, you've got to pay a certain amount, you've got members of staff. Does that make sense? Think about what your goals and objectives are, and then think about, okay, well, how am I going to get from where I am now to where I need to be? And you doing that for yourself, actually, that's what you want to do for your customer. And any customer that embraces that, that's your tribe, not the people that saying, well, we want more of this, we'd like to see that, don't you do this? Oh, well, we like it this way. That's not your customer. You can't be expected to change who you are. Most coaches and consultants have been through a story. They've been through something and they're able to give back to their target audience exactly what they need because they've experienced it. They've got a powerful story that can help other people. Okay, makes sense? So when people are saying, well, I think you should think about doing this in your business, or have you thought about this? I think your audience would prefer that. You are now taking away your why of why you started your business or your coaching or your consultancy in the first instance. Okay, you don't want to take away from that. You've got your story, you've got your why. You know from your experience how you can help a group of people. So if you've got anybody in your community or in your network that says you have to change X, Y, and Z, even if you have a coach that's telling you you've got to change what you're doing to attract the audience that you want to get, you might want to think about, well, actually, maybe I need to change the audience and find an audience that does, understand my why, that would get a lot of gain out of sharing my story and me coaching and consulting and being able to help the group of people that I want. Coaches and consultants have got great stories, and those stories help other people to become great also. So if you've got that gift, you want to be sharing it with the right people. Okay, so I've spent years, and by many coaches that I've paid to be told to change my business model or think about doing things a different way. And what I was ultimately doing is changing myself. We don't want to change ourselves. Okay, so be very, very clear about who you are, what you do, whose life you want to change, and be clear about who that audience is. Once you've got clarity around who that audience is, in terms of the goals that I've just asked you to write down and set out, you want to think about your audience and the audience that you're really going to be able to help. And you want to think to yourself, where are they now? Okay, like where are they now in life? Like, what do they have? Okay, if you look at the screen, there's a handout on the screen. And if you join our community inside, feel free to ask for this handout and we will give you a copy. Okay, but I want you to think, get your pen and papers out, get your phones out. I want you to write down, what does your audience that you need to attract, that you know that you can solve a problem they have? Like, what do they have? What I mean by that, are they living by themselves? Are they in a house? Are they in a flat? Have they got a degree? Have they done private training? Do they lack some form of knowledge? Like, what do they have? Okay, when I said lack something, I'm not talking about what do they don't have. Let me stand corrected on that. What do they actually have in life? What are they getting out of life right now? How do they feel? Okay, and when I say what do they have and how do they feel in relation to your offering. So ladies, it's really, really important that you are very clear about what your offer is. If you know what you're offering to the market, you can then start to understand who would be the audience that would gain and benefit from that offer. Who would be the audience that are like me and would really understand my story and be able to connect with it and learn from it. Okay, and then in relation to what it is that you offer, what does that audience have? What do they feel? Okay, what's their average day like? What's their status in life? When I say status in life, I talk a lot about the resistance of reality, by the way. Sometimes the reality that we live in and what we portray can be two different things, especially in this day and age. Things have hiked up. We all like doing nice things. We like having nice things. We've got the Instagram world and the TikTok world that's created these pop-up microwave lifestyles. So in terms of status, sometimes we consider ourselves to be at a status, but maybe our bank balance doesn't quite reflect that. So again, think to your audience and think, like, what is their status in life? Like, what's their good versus evil? Do they want to be remembered for something good? Do they, want to make sure that they help help a specific number of people? Do they believe that love will always win? Like, what's their good versus evil? Do they think that all people that have money are evil? Which we shouldn't, but you know what I mean. Like, what's their purpose? What is their good versus evil in their world? And then what you want to think is that, okay, what does life look like after? What does life look like after you've had my main offer? So your main offer is going to sit in the middle of this before and after grid. Okay, so before is where your customer, where they are before in life, and then in the middle is what you offer and all your customer segments. So you've got your target audience, and I speak a lot about this on videos, by the way. Yes, you've got your target audience, but within your target audience, you should have a number of customer segments. Make sense? I always give the example, if I was an e-commerce site and I was selling bags to mums, there's loads of different types of mums. My target audience isn't just mums. It could be mums with newborn babies, got nappy bags, mums that go to work, need a work bag. You get the gist. You've got segments. So I want you to think about what are your customer segments, and I want you to think about what are the products and services that you offer. What is your offering? And I want you to think for each segment, if they had one of your products or service, what does life look like after? Okay, like, where do you bring the audience that you said was before, like what their life looked like before they came into contact with your service or products? Once each segment has had maybe one of your service or products, what does life look like afterwards? What do they now have? What do they now feel? What does their average day now look like? What's their status? What's their good versus evil? Okay, and if you start to look at adverts do this very, very well. Okay, because they understand who their audience is. Okay, if we look at a brand like Pampers, yes, they understand that they provide nappies for babies and every mum's going to need nappies. But if you look at their adverts and you look at their before and after, what they're actually selling is peace of mind. You know, nappies will never ever get, anything on the bum of your baby, so it can stay fresh, it can stay clean, they can stay comfortable, they can stay happy. Go and look at a Pampers advert. What you're going to get is how happy this baby is, how happy the mum is, and what they're selling is an experience. They're quite clear that their product takes you from overwhelmed, being frightened of nappy rash, being frightened that, the nappy is going to be uncomfortable, especially if you've got a newborn baby, for those first mums out there. So their product takes away all the overwhelmed and anything that could be bad that's associated with nappies, and places Pampers the best nappy provider to make sure your baby's bum is clean, they are comfortable, they laugh, they smile, they giggle. Think about the adverts. So it takes you through before, showing the anxiety of the child, the anxiety of the mum. It shows you all the water they pour into the nappy, no matter how much stuff they put into this nappy, it doesn't burst or break. And the after effects of that is now you have a happy baby, you've got no anxiety, and you can live the life that you want, being the perfect mum. Okay, if you start to look at a lot of advertising and marketing campaigns, they're very clear about who their audience is, and they're very clear about what did life look like before, what they offer, and what life looks like afterwards. So when you've got a customer that's saying, I think you should think about this, or I didn't really like that, maybe you should do this. And then sometimes as entrepreneurs, we start running around like headless chickens thinking, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this. And that's where the shiny object syndrome comes from. You're constantly changing what you're doing, who you're targeting. Then you start sending mixed messages out. You break your brand by doing that. Okay, so understand that the success of selling online starts with understanding who you are selling to and making sure that who you are targeting loves you, embraces you, needs you. Yep, you solve a direct problem for them. So I want you to take away this session for today, because when you can do that, that's how you can build out an automation, and you can start building out a funnel that's really going to hit and work. You could have the best website in the world, you could have the best online courses you upload, but if you haven't got the right messaging and you're not connecting with your audience, that's where it won't translate and you won't be successful. Okay? So who is your target audience? That's one of the things that I really want to get out of today's session. So once you know who your target audience is and who your segments are, I now want you to think of, okay, what type of content should I be making? Okay, like, what is the problem that they've got? This is where empathy comes in and empathy mapping comes in. Okay, for those of you who have got a Canva account, if you go into Canva, you type in customer empathy mapping, you're going to get a whole load of templates. I suggest you use one of those templates and you take some time out and you put your feet in the shoes of your customer segments, in the lens and the eyes of your customer segment, and start seeing the world as how they see it, and start thinking to yourself, what would I want to know about in terms of the problem that I have, and you've got a product or a service that solves that problem. Okay, I'm not asking you to give away anything, any free content that's going to be really valuable. For some strange unknown reasons, as coaches, consultants and speakers, we can be sometimes a bit precious about our content and feel like I'm not giving that away for free. But you need to be able to serve your audience so they can feel like you're authentic. You want to be vulnerable and you want vulnerability back from them, because what do you get? Complete honesty. And with complete honesty and being open, that's when people really start to trust you. Once people trust you, they buy from you. So I want you to think about what type of content should you be creating, what's really going to help them. Okay, and this is where you want to think about, okay, what's going to be my main content style? Because what can happen as entrepreneurs, ladies, is like, oh yeah, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm also going to be doing a blog. I'm also going to be putting, carousels and videos out on Instagram. I'm going to be doing a TikTok channel as well, and I'm going to do a whole load of shorts, and I'll use those shorts on YouTube. Next thing you know, before you've actually got the sales that you need, or even the leads that you need, or the mailing list, and you're actually physically growing your business with either leads or sales, all of a sudden you're creating all this content based on all the noise of what you can hear outside. It's really important that you try to stick to one community or one source of truth, because what will happen in this day and age is you'll get pulled in so many different directions. On my IG account, like seriously, I will see things like pillar themes are gone, don't be using that. Did you know if you use these 5 algorithms from Instagram, you will change your following and have 10,000 followers in 30 days? It's not true. Okay, it's not true. What you have to be is consistent, and not just consistent with your posting and the channels that you post on, but consistent in terms of the content that you're making. The worst thing is following someone and getting a really great post and then you don't see anything like that again. Make sense? So you've got to do what's going to connect with your audience. There are no secret algorithms out there. There are no secret hacks. There's nothing that's going to do it for you. You have to understand and match your content to your audience. And again, your audience should absolutely love you and adore you. Okay, because that's the type of audience that you want. That's the type of audience where you'll improve their lives and they in turn will improve your life. So also think about what are the best channels. You don't need to be on all the channels. Again, the people that might be critical or are suggesting that you make changes or they're not quite for you, you don't need to attract them. So if you don't need to attract them, why are we on every social channel? Okay, why are we creating so many different forms of content? Maybe your audience are going to love you for having a podcast where they can get to know, like, and trust you and then buy you. But they've got one source of truth, one place to go to get you. And maybe you'll then advertise and talk about that podcast on the rest of the channels. But then don't end up saying, well, not only am I going to have a podcast, but I'm also going to have a blog. Then I'm also going to be an influencer and do vlogging. Then I'm going to do shorts. Then I'm going to have an e-commerce store. Okay, then I'm going to go on Twitter. Then I'm also going to do lead generation on LinkedIn. There's nothing wrong with that. But as entrepreneurs with really small teams, we can automate our business through technology. Yeah, sure. Softwares like your Kajabis, your ClickFunnels, they will really help you monetize your business. But if you've got a whole load of traffic sources and a whole load of content going out to audiences that aren't even 100% into you and you're here, there and everywhere, it's a lot. It's too much to create and too much to do. So we want to try and keep things simple, okay? So I want you to think about what type of content are you going to make and what are the best channels for you to find your audience out. So types of contents could be video, could be social media posts, infographics, could be quotes, could be podcasts, blog articles, ebooks, white papers, case studies, email newsletters, autoresponders, community publishing, webinars. There's so much to choose from, but you don't need to choose from all of them. Okay, what are the best channels? Is your audience more on YouTube? Are they on TikTok? Are they in Facebook communities? Are they on Instagram Lives? Are they on Spotify listening to podcasts? Are they find on their website through search? Have they got are they going to find a website that's got gated community? So maybe a Kajabi, maybe WordPress. Is it Facebook groups? Is it Quora? Is it Reddit? Think about where is your audience going for the problems that they've got? What are the best channels that you could start hanging out in to attract those people? And you don't need to be hanging out in all of them. And really importantly, you need to remember that 80-20 rule. In content, you should never just be selling. Okay, and that's sometimes why you can have audiences suggesting a lot of things to you as well, because you're constantly selling. So constantly selling opens up for people to be a lot more critical. What you want to do is 80% of your content needs to be valuable. It needs to stick. It needs to connect. It needs to present you as an authority. It needs to be helpful. It needs to be entertaining. Okay, 20% of your content should then be sales, because that's how people are going to be able to trust you more and get to know you. And if they get to know you and they like you, that's your tribe, that's your audience. You need to find more people like that. If they don't, what do? They're not your audience. And I'm going to keep saying it. So one of the greatest things for you to really be able to produce content that is going to really connect with your audience is to put together sales pages. Sales pages are a great way to offer something that's isolated within your business. Your website is your shop front. So it tells someone everything you do. So they're never going to find out what's there for them, because no one's going to spend the time trawling through all your pages. We've got a memory like a goldfish now. We're not focused on things for very long. So sales pages give you the ability to really be able to get people to opt in, make them aware of the very first stage of your user journey, your funnel. You can talk about one specific thing and get them to take one desired action, whether that's to opt into something, learn more, share something, join your mailing list. Sales letters are a really great way for you to move your prospect from that one touch point where they get interested in you, they like you, to all the following touch points until they're actually ready to buy from you. So your traditional sales letter, you can see the screen, that's what your structure should look like. And it's really important in the copy that you grab attention. Nowadays, lady, there's software that can help you with this. There's software where you could build your own sales page and you don't need to outsource it, meaning you're going to save yourself a phenomenal amount of money. We've got AI. So when it comes to now writing text, writing headlines, grabbing attention, we can now use the ability of AI, and especially if it's machine learning and you're using the right software, it's going to get better and better and better at writing copy for you. There's so much tools in the digital world that enable you to just start a business and get to that 6-7 figure all by yourself with maybe just a few freelancers. Software is what's going to get you there. Software is what's going to save you. Okay, and this is now when you've got an audience and you can nurture them through a funnel, nurture them through a user journey. That's when you can really convert. And when you convert, you're going to be converting through emotion. Okay, so again, it's really important that when you're writing video scripts, you're writing content, you're putting content together, you're making sure that you're hitting on the emotions. That empathy mapping comes back again, being able to really connect with your audience. Okay, so it's really important to make sure you get to know, like, and trust your audience. Okay, and they in turn need to get to know, like, and trust you. When you've got a relationship that's two ways, and you're getting to know each other, that's when the magic happens. But the marketing hourglass is where you want to be with your customers. Your job is to make sure you get your prospect and your customer to know you, like you, trust you, try something from you, which is a lead magnet, buy from you, keep repeating to buy from you, find you so amazing that they refer you to other people. Okay, and when you can do that, that's when you've got a business online that's really going to work, and the right audience is going to connect with you. And the people that don't connect with you, they are simply, let's say it together, they're not your audience. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's Lunch and Learn, and hopefully you took a lot away from that in really understanding who your audience is, but also you took away how important it is to have an offer, and you also understood that understanding where your audience is before your offer, if they take your offer up, where they're going to be afterwards, is a testimony to how you're really going to grow your business. And you will get to the KPIs of having the right amount of awareness, the right amount of leads, and the right amount of sales, and really see your business level up and get to the place where you want it to be to achieve your goals. And I promise you, it does work. So ladies, if you have not listened to the Queen of Funnel Mastery Masterclass that really talks about how funnels can really scale up your business and get you to where it needs to be, and you haven't heard how it's done it for me, please do watch that masterclass, because you're going to take so much learnings and lessons out of it. Also, if you're interested in building out your own automation and your own digital business and actually doing it in the software and coming on a 6-week program that takes you step by step using the software to build out your whole business and automate it and put it online, put your name on the wait list. If you do that, you will be lucky, if you are listening to this, to actually get a one-to-one call with me to see how we can really help you level up your business. And a lot of the programs that we've got on at the moment, we have been given funding by Dell to some of the costs that makes it super duper duper affordable for you. So if you're interested, just join the wait list and you will get an alert from us this week with a one-to-one call. So make sure that you book it for any of you, those of you who are interested. And like I said, if you haven't listened to the masterclass and you're thinking, well, what exactly is a funnel? What could a funnel do for me? If you're in a place where you're looking at rebranding, redoing your website, watch the masterclass. But more importantly, if you are really ready to level up your business and make sure that you get it online and you do it properly and you really start thinking about content and how you're going to drive traffic to your user journey, also known as the funnel, just put your name on the wait list where you can book a call with me. Right, hope you learnt loads from today. Again, if you're watching this on the replay, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, put any of the comments inside. And those of you that are here live with me now, let's see what comments that you've got and answer any questions. So what we've got here is there's a link in the chat to join our community, so make sure that you join it. And there's also a link to our masterclass video. Please do that. And let me also put a link into the chat for the waitlist page. Right, guys, that is everything today. Like I said, any topics that you would like us to be covering in the future, we've got a whole new array of topics coming out for the next 4 weeks throughout June. So make sure that you keep posted with our Lunch and Learn sales page. We'll be sending it out through email. So those of you that you are here, you're going to get an email from us anyway, and you will see the topics that we will be discussing in June. So I look forward to seeing you next week, ladies. Take care. Bye-bye.